Hello and welcome to Somatic Flow. This is your host, Dr. Alice Kirby. Ah, so come into a standing position and just, kind of play around with some weight shifting and check into how your body feels and see if there's any movements that you want to take right now. I tend to always want to stretch out my hips just the way I'm doing or some similar way, but see what it is for you. For you, maybe it's you really want to arch your back or you want to curl forward, or maybe you don't even like standing at all and you want to sit down. But take a few moments here and feel into what your body wants and needs and explore your space. And so let's work with this idea of exploring both internal space, the space inside your body. Can you feel like you're taking up space inside your physical form as you move? And then also exploring our external space, orienting visually, moving around in the space. Let your gaze take in all the parts of your space, each side of you, behind you, above and below. And then keep coming back and checking back in with your internal space. Is there a place in your body where you feel like you're really able to occupy? Maybe your hands, maybe you can really notice, hey, these are my hands, or maybe it's your feet making contact with the ground. Maybe there's some good sensory engagement there and you really feel like you're in your feet. Maybe it's your hips or your belly, this center core part of the body that we talk about a lot. But checking in with your internal environment. We'll work a little bit today, maybe with opening up some from the periphery, from the outside to the inside. And whenever you're ready, just come into this little gentle bouncing. You can be static or you can do some weight shifting if you like. And almost like you're just letting your joints be rocked more than a harsh bounce. It should feel pleasant. If it hurts, then dial it back, change your stance. Just moving the lymphatic system, kind of waking up the body a little bit. Take some time just to touch into all the parts of the body. Let's just do a little flicking with the hands. So let's do a little hand and hip flicking. So you can kind of rock to the right, flick the right. It's kind of fun. Rock to the left, flick the left wrist. We'll make a little dance out of it. Right and left, little flicking. We can flick up high, just like moving off anything in the day. And you're welcome to drop the rocking if that feels better, or the bouncing. And let's flick both hands, right and left and right and left. And you do whatever version of this feels good. I'm just alternating. We'll do another round of that side and left and flick down towards the earth, shifting the weight. Good. And then any final, maybe just some shaking of the arms, and see if there can be a quality of like some wiggly, jiggly, Gumby like goodness where it feels supportive for your joints, almost like we're creating more lubrication in the joints and they're moving through some kind of a thicker, more lubricated surface. Like not quite a jello, but something like that. Maybe a jello that hasn't quite set all the way. And then let's just make contact with the different parts of our body. Let's do our tapping. Let's start with that outside. I'm starting with the outside of my left hand, as I tend to do, tapping up the outside of that left arm, up to the shoulder, just saying hi to this left arm and all the parts of it. You can look at your arm as you tap. Hello, left arm. Hello, left hand. Wow, hi. You belong to me. This is my left arm. Up to the top and down. If there's any movement that you like to take, I'm rocking back and forth. It feels nice on my back to do that. So if you are a rocker, feel free. So we do 3 passes and then switch sides. So hello, right arm. Up the outside and down the inside. 3 times. Really taking in your arm and noticing what it's like to make that contact each time. Is your hand warm or cool? And what feels good today? Is it like more of a loose fist or maybe fingertips? And after your 3 passes, let's just bring some fingertips up to the face, the cheekbones. So I'm just tapping real gently in this kind of a sequence. Moving up, almost like you're giving yourself a little facial. This is kind of an acupuncture facial or acupressure facial rather. And then coming up top of the forehead, starting in that third eye place and across the forehead. Any version of this that feels good. Let's come back down to right underneath the nose, kind of along that upper mandible line, the upper part of our jaw. And to your chin, just tapping up and out, giving your face a little love, a little stimulation. It's nice for the blood flow. This is good for your skin. You can tap underneath your chin. My neuroscience teacher in PT school was actually really big on this one. She said it makes you look years younger. You see what you notice. Again, we're just taking in all the parts of our body right now. And you can check in with each part. Come down here and tap the center of the chest, the thymus. Is it asking for something? Is it asking for any kind of specific movement, or maybe just for a little support or attention, asking for you to notice it? And it's okay if you're not sure, but just, you can notice, use your cognitive brain to notice all these parts of your body as we make contact. And we can work our hands down towards our hips, back into our loose fists, and just tap around the hip joints, the front of the femur, back into your glutes. They usually like this more vigorous fist-oriented tapping. And then when you're ready, making your way down that front corner of your legs and tapping up the inside, maybe switching to a palm. And down the outside. And up the inside. And then last time, trying to cover a little bit different area each time, just like we did with our hands. Coming back up. And let's come to our belly. Let's just rest quietly for a moment. Our hands in our triangle of power. My thumbs are right at my navel. And then my pointer fingers are resting on or pretty close to my pubic bones. Just stand here for a minute. Let your hands really sink into your belly. And just notice what happens or what comes up for you in making contact with this area. If there's any judgments, if there's any tightening internally of like, oh, why do I have to think about my belly? And we talked a few weeks ago about this idea of having a soft belly. And so just see if there's a bit of that invitation there, or can you invite in a little softness through your belly? Can we have softness and power through here? And just for a moment, making contact before we do some more movement with this area. And then maybe check in and notice how would this area like to move? Let's do a few circles around our digestive tract, our viscera, since we're making contact with our body. Just up and around. See what it's like. And if you hate this or don't like it, of course you don't have to do it. But see if you can make some kind of contact with this center part of your body. And notice your breath, like inside your ribs. Maybe take a moment just to feel into your rib cage here. And without really trying to change your breath or do, too many modifications, to see if you're able to notice it. And anytime I think we notice our breath, we do change it just naturally, but just see if you can come into more of a normal breath pattern and feel it push your hands out. I know this isn't the most comfortable position, so let's go ahead and roll our shoulders, roll the hips, come back into some fluid movement. Keeping this core and this center in mind, maybe tucking in that pelvis just a little bit. So while we have the softness, there's also, you can feel some of your power in there. And so imagine we're doing this I'm doing almost like a reverse figure eight or reverse infinity sign, just bringing my hips back while I let my arms float back. Shifting the weight a little bit. You do a version of this that feels good for you. You can take your arms out wide, your hips out wide. But see if you can imagine almost like you're rotating around your strong, powerful center. Almost like a windmill type motion. And you can make it smaller or bigger. And you can imagine, even with this kind of movement, like you're pulling something in, right? What do you want to pull into your life right now? What do you want to pull into your body or your body awareness? Maybe it's just something as simple as some gratitude for your physical form, all the things that it can do. And really, just like with our Qigong, see if you can find some awareness of really letting that move into you. Maybe slow the movement, almost feel that flow of chi, pulling in, shifting the hip back. You're in this relationship with your life force. And a lot of our life force, I think, gets kind of confused in this culture with this idea of like sexual energy. And I think that's why a lot of us kind of get this blockage through our pelvic region and our low belly. But we want to have this like lovely animated energy that moves through us. So maybe imagine pulling that in and letting that flow down through your belly, through your hips, your pelvis, your legs, and into the floor. And if that feels like too much, maybe just pull it into your heart, up over your head, and see if you can have some level of fluidity in your movement right now with this type of movement. Step back and forth. Maybe take a big step over. Stretch this side. Let's come into our wide leg stance and just shift the weight here up on the heel, getting some stretching in through that inner thigh, back of the thigh, shifting the weight. When I do a lot of this weight shifting, it's also present in a lot of the Qigong movements because it does create more of that pumping type motion, which our joints typically really like. It helps to encourage the synovial fluid in our joints, which is that nice natural lubrication that provides a barrier from the bones of the joint connecting. So it's almost like we're juicing the joints with a lot of the rocking and the weight shifting type movements. And let's come into this sort of deep squat here and work with our hips coming up to the side. If this is too deep, you always walk your feet closer together. But feel into those hip creases. You can even put your hands here. Sometimes I'll put my fingers right in the crease and kind of imagine opening up more space. Don't push too hard or anything. But notice where there's any little bits of tightness. And if that visual of the life force energy works for you, you can kind of imagine that flowing through the hip creases, letting some light into these areas that might get a little sticky or tight. And then really just pulling back in. So from here, I'm going to just turn sideways so you can see me. Think about that lower belly engagement pulling up, right? And then relax your glutes. And we can kind of do that. Be careful with your back, but if you do this correctly, you should be fine. This is this nice, it's like almost an African dance type movement, really pulling in. But I think it's a lovely way to kind of feel your power in this area. And it's the same thing that we do on the floor, that little pelvic tuck. We're just doing it in standing, and just try not to squeeze your glutes too much. You can even try moving with that, a little pelvic. It's not even really a thrust. It's more my lower abdomen is just pulling up. I'm just taking some steps. You could add in a whole Beyonce, like African dance type thing. Kind of fun to move this way, but really make sure your core is engaged so that you don't hurt your back. You don't want to be like too loosey goosey. You want to keep that strength there, right? Like moving from that place of strength. I'm just trying this on. This can be really fun, like power move, get your heart rate up a little bit. Yeah, then you can shake that out. That's a nice one to throw into your day here and there. Because you really get that drop in, engage the core, and just let yourself move with it. Right? I think that's another movement, just like our hip circle. Let's go ahead and go into that one. That's been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Circle, kind of smooth things out in one direction. You're welcome to bring your arms up, stretch them out. You can let them come overhead. Feel some length in your spine. You can let them circle just like your hips are circling, some version of that. Make your circles big or small. And then switch direction. Circling around. Again, maybe touching into that sense of like we're lubricating the joints, keeping things juiced up so we can move freely, and not have so many aches and pains. All right, and then let's just come to a bit of stillness, stretch up overhead. Maybe the palms touch if that feels good, or maybe your arms stay a little bit more outward. That's a little bit more gentle on your shoulders. Oof. Let's do this kind of climbing the ladder type stretch. So I'm going to drop my right hip. All right, no, I'm dropping my left hip. I apologize. Reaching my left arm up. So creating some length and space on this left side. And then switching. So like we're climbing up the grape trellis to get those good grapes. Or something like that. Dropping the hip. Again, keeping just that little tuck in the belly so you can really feel the length in your lower spine. Right? You're not doing a lot of this back here. You want to keep that just engaged just a little bit through the belly. And that's fine. Some version of a forward fold. You can do like a nice swan dive. You can curl down, whatever feels good. You can kind of shimmy and rock, walk down your legs. But come into some sort of a nice flexed spinal position. And shifting your feet again, some of that bending and straightening one leg than the other. It's just checking in with how's this back body feeling? How are the back of your legs feeling? Of the back of your low spine? Does that want a little bit more space? And how about the middle part of your back and your spine? Just letting gravity on the spine be a bit reversed for a few moments here. And then what about your upper spine, your neck? Are you able to let your head hang and just dangle, or do you feel like you're holding on? As long as it's not painful, see if you can let yourself really relax. If you need to bend your knees and rest your torso on your knees, that's perfectly fine. Just trying to let the back stretch out here. Let there be some length and some ease in the spine where you don't have to hold right now. You can imagine a waterfall cascading down your back body. Just taking a few breaths here. And if you don't like the static stretch, if you'd rather do some movement, that's always welcome. So sometimes the swinging is nice. More of a rag doll where you hang on to your opposite elbows can feel good. Or just be static for a moment, stretch and feel. Notice the subtleties and movements that happen when you are in more of a static stretch. And if you like, you can walk the fingertips out towards the left. See what happens there. Does it feel good? What do you feel? Where do you feel it? And coming over to the other side. Fingertips walking to the right. This is such a great position too to just look at your feet. Hi feet. Maybe take in how great they are, how much work they do for you, how solid they are, how reliable. Coming back to center, my invitation is to come down into that wide-legged squat, which I know does not feel good and is not available for everyone. So if that's not for you, that's fine. If you like this one, then come check it out. Other options, you can come down on the floor and sit on a cushion or a block, something like this. It's nice when you're sitting up and just come into a wide-legged butterfly pose. And with this squat, I want there to be, my invitation is for you to have a sense of like both opening, but of being relaxed. I don't want it to be like a really difficult, challenging move that you're trying to do. We just lengthen the spine in that forward fold. And in this position, it really helps your spine to find that neutral up and down. I mean, this is another position where I think women were giving birth for hundreds of thousands of years before hospital beds and stirrups were invented. Kind of lines up your GI tract. You can always sit yourself down and have your legs up like that if that's comfortable. Let's all make our way down to the floor. And just notice your relationship to gravity here on the floor. Is there a posture or a shape that you want to go into immediately? Maybe you really feel called to lay down. Let's again, like now that we're in this different relationship to gravity, we're on the floor, just invite in some of that internally guided movement and take a few moments here to explore your floor space and explore what your body would like here. And if you aren't sure, if you're like, why does she keep asking me to do what my body would like? Just be curious and try some stuff. You know how to move. You've been doing it since you were a baby. So just try some movements and see if that feels good. It doesn't. I'm not sure. I'm going to keep trying it. But see if you can try some things that aren't like your normal movement patterns. Try not to go into your favorite yoga sequence. Try some things that are a little bit different. And then we'll come back together and do some more guided movement. Take this time for some internally driven movement. Notice the speed that you like to move. Do you like to go fast or slow? Do you like to stay upright or do you like to get more of your body in contact with the floor? Do you like the feel of muscular engagement? Or do you like to let things be really soft and a little bit more kind of like flaccid or fully relaxed? Just seeing what feels good for you right now and like allowing all of it, allowing space for your body to explore. And whenever you'd like to come together again, I'm in this position here with my left leg in front, right leg in back, just rocking the hip up and down. So again, working on that pumping tight motion. And if that doesn't feel good for your knee, you can try straightening out. I think you get it's a little bit different because you're not in the internal rotation of your hip, but you're still getting some good juice. Or you can extend the knee a little and just do a smaller movement. Don't come back to the floor so much. It hurts my knee. That's why I'm talking about these adaptations. But I always try to give them. And again, noticing this gentle rocking, fluid movement, just in and out. How that feels in your body and on your nervous system. You guys have learned a lot about your own nervous systems this year. But what feels good? Switch sides whenever you're ready. And noticing maybe some differences side to side. And when you slow down in the movement, does anything come up for you? Maybe there's emotions or some other sensations or a desire or a need for things to move more quickly? Giving yourself permission to be with what is in this moment and in this moment. One of the women in my recent training kept using the phrase, she was Serbian, and she kept using the phrase, you can't push a river. So I'm going to extend out and come into some variation of pigeon. So my front knee's bent, back leg straight, and getting that nice stretch to the front hip flexor here and the back hip. You can always use a pillow or a block under this hip if you are like me and really tight through your hips. You can come into a forward fold. But we can take that idea, this saying of you can't push a river, into our movement practice and into our somatic practices of really being curious about what is in the moment and being okay with it. Like just having curiosity around it instead of always trying to change it, trying to force the change. And certainly we can cultivate change in our lives, but it's so much nicer when we find the flow as we create and cultivate change, invite in change versus that pushing. Just taking as much time as you like here. You can shift around, stretching out one way, getting that nice stretch through, again, the side body. Let yourself play a little bit. What feels good on your back? What feels good on your hips? Taking lots of time. If this position doesn't feel good at all, you can roll over onto your back, stretch your hip out, and go into any other type of stretch or movement that does feel good. And then let's be interesting about how we come over to the other side. So let's take our time and you create, choose your own adventure, create your own pathway, knowing that we'll meet in, some form of pigeon, or you can do the figure four on your back stretch on the other side. But maybe you want to, really stretch out and lay down along the way for a minute. Maybe you want to shake the legs. Really feel into a moment of stillness. And maybe you like a little bit more movement. Being creative though and curious about what your body wants. And this nice spacious transition, creating space in the body, taking space with time, taking up space in the environment. Whenever you get to your version of this stretch, noticing again the spaciousness inside in your internal world. Does it feel a little different? Maybe even just from this hip to the one that we just stretched. Is there more of a sense of spaciousness on one side versus the other? Maybe the other side was tighter, so this one feels more spacious, or maybe that one does because we just stretched it. And you can play with, making little micro adjustments. Try not to, chase sensation, but finding the sensations that do feel useful for you, that feel pleasant, that feel like what your body wants. I like to do these twists in this position. I'm just rotating my spine slightly, supporting myself with this forearm, and just gets into the fibers of the hip a little bit differently. You can walk towards that front foot. And you may be quite flexible where you want to have the leg more parallel. Whoa. Yeah, for me, that's not a thing right now. But see what feels good for you. Just take a few more breaths. Coming into like a long sitting, bouncing out the knees, pointing and flexing the toes, maybe both together and then one at a time. Rolling the ankles. Noticing the joints of your legs, your ankles, your toes, your knees, up into your hips. Do this little windshield wiper rock for a minute. Let your flesh be loose on your bones. Kind of move a little. And notice what happens for your system. And before I give any direction for some different movements, see if there is anything that your body naturally wants to go towards. Notice the impulses of your body, even if you're not sure where they're going to lead you. So maybe you really want to like push up this direction, for example, or you want to lay down. And let your body follow that. Follow that impulse. Just be curious about where it's going to take you. Does your arm want to curl in? These are just examples, or maybe it's, the opposite. It's more of this intuitively, internally guided movement, both intuitive and internally. But as we open up more of these parts of our body and stretch into our joints and our muscles, does it get a little easier to hear what your body wants? Whenever you're ready, we can meet in our tabletop position here. And just work with the spine a little bit more, doing some cat-cows, whatever version of this feels good, dropping the belly, lifting the head. And as you prepare to arch the spine, think about that lower dantian. See if you can relax your glutes, but pull in your belly like you're like slurping. And let the neck, the head drop. Stretch out that spine. And then let it slowly shift and change shape. Just dropping, really feel how gravity assists you here. Letting the neck come up, moving against gravity through that part of your spine. And starting this return movement from that belly. Imagine this laser beam of power and strength. Maybe just below your navel. Pulling up. Stretching out the back of the neck, arching the spine, tuck the tailbone a little bit. If this hurts your low back, let the tailbone be less tucked and a little more loose. And you are, of course, welcome to go at your own pace. See if you can move a little bit more slowly than usual, though, even if you're moving faster than I am. Let's do one more together. Arching up, looking up. Feeling that laser beam of power. Slurping in, relax your glutes. Letting the neck drop. Tucking the tailbone to the extent that it's comfortable. And coming back to neutral. Any little shimmies or shakes or hip wiggles that feel good to take here. If you're getting tired of being up on your palms, you can drop down to your forearms, maybe roll the wrists a little bit. Just let the hips shift back and forth. Come into a child's pose just for a moment. And I like this wide leg child's pose. I think I say this every time. You're welcome to keep your knees together. Just let's take a moment of stillness before we go into some more stretching for upper back. Letting your hips fall towards the floor. Finding a version of this that feels good, that works for you. Asking your body what it needs right now. See if you can invite in some of that softening through your back body, through your belly, through your lungs. Whenever you're ready, you can start to move back up. Let's go into some kind of a threading the needle to get that nice upper back stretch and thoracic spine stretch. So if you like being down here, I would bring your knees a little bit closer together. And threading the needle is the one where we come up and then reach through and rotate the spine. So you can keep your knees back. That actually makes it a bit more of just a thoracic spine stretch. If you like being up here more, both are acceptable, both are fine. You can try both. So I'm going to do my right arm first. And I'm going to say right here, just reaching up towards the sky, or you can do a hand behind your head and reach the elbow. And I like to do a few passes here, just tucking in, saying hi to the little space under your arm. If you've already extended full into the stretch, that is great. Find a nice amount of rotation that feels good for your spine. I like to do the two little peekaboos through the window and then reach the arm through. Find a comfortable placement for your head and your shoulder wherever you are. And again, you can have your hips, you can move them down too while you're in here. And it changes it slightly. I tend to like mine up. That feels a little bit more free on my low back. This feels like I can relax a little more like that. Again, seeing if you can invite softness, opening, more room for you and your life force inside of your body. Checking in with your internal space once again. Is there an area that's demanding a lot of attention right now? Maybe the area we're stretching. Notice where your attention goes inside your body. And then as you focus on that area, as you note it, as you notice, okay, hey, this area seems to be asking for attention, and your awareness almost out in like concentric circles. So maybe noticing the next layer around that area and take time with the circles. What is in that next area? Does it also feel like you? You can switch sides whenever you're ready. Continuing just to notice yourself and your internal world before we do the other side. Any wiggles or shifts that feel good, any rotations. And then we'll take the stretch on the other side. We'll come back to our concentric circle noticing or just continue on. Reaching up and through, and then one more time up high. Placing that shoulder on the ground. Find a comfortable place for your hips. Knowing too, this doesn't have to be like the max 10 out of 10 stretch that you can do. Maybe just find a place that feels kind of good and soft, and like the opening is gentle. And see now where in your body does your attention go? Maybe it's the same spot as earlier, maybe it's somewhere different. Is it pleasant to have your attention in this space, in this area? Or is it an area of tightness or pain, discomfort? And can you expand your awareness? So we're not trying to shift or move the sensation, we're just expanding awareness of what is around this attention grabbing area, moving out in concentric circles. Whenever you feel like you've had enough there, coming up and take any more wiggles that feel good before we completely leave this position. Let's see how you want to move out of it. Maybe you want to go down to the floor. Come into that low lunge version of the lunge, tucking the hips, pulling in to the front of the belly, forward lean. You can always hold on to something. Getting our little hip flexor stretch. Thanking these muscles, opening them up after sitting and driving, bringing a little bit of space to the front of the hips. Noticing the relationship of the front of the hips to the glutes and to the spine. This whole area is such a team. Notice if you're holding your breath. And you can switch sides however you like. And whenever you're ready, if you're not done there, please take more time. And just, move slowly. Move with again, this idea of curiosity and care for your body. Whenever you are ready, just dropping that tailbone, engaging through the belly, and leaning forward so you feel that nice stretch through the front of the hip. And if this hurts your knees, put down a towel underneath your knee. You can always do the standing lunge. Just something to open up the front of the hip. We all need it. Everyone, I think, in American culture. Anyone who sits a lot. It's good to give this area a little love and a little spaciousness. And just shifting out whenever that feels ready. torn between wanting to stand up and do more and wanting to lie down and do more. Let's go back up onto our feet. And then notice, even as I say that, did you pop up? Are you up on your feet? Is there resistance to it? So we'll take another few moments here to practice some of that internally driven movement and to practice being spacious with transition. So taking any stretches or movements along the way as we prepare to come together and standing once again. How's your body feeling now? Where's your awareness going now? Are there any places that feel like they'd like some support or some more opening? Just seeing what's there. Take a minute just to support our kidney adrenals. This is always really nice too. So you can find the base of your rib cage in your back. So I'm kind of poking up under my ribs here. And your kidneys are kind of like hugged under there a little bit. They're higher usually than you think. So I'll usually do half my hand kind of covering the ribs or overlapping with the ribs and then half just below. So just bring hands there. You can do palm down like I'm doing, or if that doesn't feel good on your wrists and your shoulders, you can do back of the hand and just maybe some gentle rubbing or a moment of stillness. And in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are this deep yin organ about this really deep nourishing. They nourish our deep yin, which is like the deep feminine, the deep receptive. It's again about that life force, right? The depth of our life force and just supporting it. There tends to be a lot of our adrenals are right there. Any rocking, any movement here, just a little gentle kidney love. Let's bring our hands up. We'll go into a little qigong move here. We're going to do a version of the archer. So I'm going to pull my right arm back, left arm forward, turn outward, stretch. Feel that stretch through the upper back. Feel the strength through your belly. And back down. And there's a version of this is what I thought of it. There's a version of this where you come back and then you address those kidney adrenals. So it's kind of like you sweep up the back of your body and then come forward and then other side. Step foot back, reach back, archer position. And then as you prepare to move forward, step the feet back together, a little bit of that weight shift. Palms come up, touch through the kidneys, roll up your body. Other foot forward. You can do a little push as you step forward. Open to the side, archer, stretch, orient. Pulling the foot back, hands come around. Kidneys, armpits, pushing forward. Stretch, sink on that front leg. Opening the heart. This open palm represents our heart in Chinese medicine. Feet together. We'll do one more each side, okay? Coming up just to orient you to our sequence. Pushing out, sink the weight. Opening. I haven't done this one in a little while, so thank you for your patience as it took me a minute to remember exactly the sequence. Coming down. Last one here, just that nice gentle love. And we kind of stroke through here because we're also addressing that lymphatic system and pushing out. A lot of lymph nodes through our axillary, our armpit area. And coming back. Do a little shaking. Just do a few shoulder rolls. That's always really nice too. Gets into some of that upper back. Take a nice big staggered stance. Find your center of power. Just pause here for a moment. Noticing your midsection. Just taking a moment to take in, to check in. And then we can begin our rocking. Weight on the front foot, shoulders come up and sinking back. This nice cyclical pumping movement through our joints. Guided by the strength of your center. Connection of your feet to the ground and to the earth. And when you're ready, we can move into switching sides or prepare to switch sides. Shifting your feet. Same movement on the other side, just different stance. Just notice how it is to rock yourself, right? Like babies love to be rocked. Humans really love to be rocked. We love hammocks and rocking chairs. We're doing a version of that, right? We're just rocking. Maybe imagine just this is some sweet care for yourself, some nurturing for your body, for your busy mind. And coming back into center whenever you're ready. Take any other movements in standing that feel good, maybe working on side body stretching. Just encourage you to move slowly with attention to, how you're going back and forth. If you're doing a moving versus a static type hold, what muscles are engaging, and how it feels inside. And just take in your body for a minute, right? After we've been moving for a while. How do things feel now? Where does your attention go? And let's come back to the floor if that's comfortable for you to lay down. I like this laying down with legs up. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put my legs up in my soft chair here. I want to just guide us through maybe a little bit of some of these touch practices, or just making a little self contact. Find your way to a comfortable position. You certainly don't have to lay down. We'll do some active laying practices, and so find your spot. Yeah, you can see me well enough here. Ah, take your time to get things just how you like them, just how when you made your boundary circle, right? You got it just right. So get your positioning just right. You deserve it. It's okay to take some extra time to make yourself comfortable and to create that sense of settling in your body and in your nervous system. And as you settle, just notice where your hands have naturally gone. Are they resting on a part of your body? Are they resting on the floor? And then if it feels nice, maybe bring one hand just below your rib cage, kind of to your upper belly, up above your belly button, your navel. And then the other hand, again, these are invitations, somewhere else on your belly. So it can be above the first hands. We're working with this first hand with the solar plexus area, or it can be below. You can rest it on your leg. Let's see if it feels good for you to make contact with yourself somewhere in your midsection with two hands. And see if you can offer yourself some supportive touch. Noticing the rise and fall of your belly. Noticing your belly coming up to meet you as you just, hold a nice steady presence. I've got you. Let me here with you. Can you feel a sense of partnership with yourself? and support for your belly and for your body. And see what else you notice in your internal world. Your mind is wandering, or if you're staying with the area underneath your hands. You just check in with the other parts of your body. You can notice your feet, if they're touching the floor or the chair. Notice your ankle joints and your lower legs, the front and the back. Knowing as you move through these parts of your body, knowing that this is your body. You live inside here. If it feels nice to say it either out loud in your head, some version of I live in my body. I live inside my body. Noticing your knees, your upper legs, the solidness of your hips, the softness of your belly, and the strength of your belly. Maybe you can get a sense there's a fire lit inside, in that pelvic bowl. Just feel that spark of your own life force. Just feel whatever's there, right? Notice if it's uncomfortable. Notice if it's pleasant. Notice if anything feels new or different. Just moving your awareness up your back body, your spine, to the back of your neck, the base of your head resting on the ground or possibly on your chair back. Being aware that your back and your spine are supported right now. Let yourself be supported. Maybe there's another phrase there that feels right for you. I'm supported by the ground. I'm supported by the earth. My body can take in this support. Checking in with your hands, shifting awareness to the place where they're making contact. Your wrists, your forearms. There's a sense of being inside your body and your forearms. A lot going on in that area. Your elbows and your upper arms to your shoulder blades, clavicle, your collarbones, the front of your neck, your jaw. How is your jaw right now? Can you let it be soft? No, you don't have to do anything or know anything in particular, but you can just be present with your body. And once again, just seeing where your attention goes internally. And if your mind's wandering and you're thinking about dinner or whatever, that's all fine. But just see where in your body your attention goes when you come back towards it. Or maybe you've been there the whole time, but checking back in. Do you have a sense of your body as whole? Do you have a sense of the globalness of yourself? Or maybe your attention's focused on a smaller area. Just either way is great. Just notice. And if your eyes are closed, maybe even think about opening them before you actually do. But you're welcome to just keep them closed. That's fine. If you'd like to stay here for a little while as we close out our time together, you're more than welcome to stay in your comfortable place. If you'd like to move out of it to prepare or shift into the next part of your evening, just move slowly. Try to follow those internal impulses of movement. Where does your body want to begin the movement? What part wants to go first? How does it want to move? Try some things out. You can take any stretches or movements that feel good. Noticing where there is more space. We started off this evening noticing space internally, externally, in our joints and our muscles. What's your sense of internal space like now? Maybe different, maybe the same, maybe you don't even really remember what it was like in the beginning. See what it's like now. Maybe find one part of your body that feels spacious or a bit spacious. And, if you're going to stay resting for now, enjoy the rest. And whenever you do decide to move and shift out of this position, invitations just to really be slow, be gentle with yourself, be curious with your body. And see if there's a sense of gratitude for your body's ability to move, for its ability to tell you what it prefers, for the deepening connection that you have with your body and your nervous system. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. I'm getting the sense people are just being pretty chilled out. So enjoy that. I'll stop our recording and end the Zoom. Bye. Um, Bye, Sarah. There you are. You're coming on. Cool.
Yeah, just just chill over here, I guess.
Cool. Nice to see your face. You'll have a lovely evening. Yeah. Carry on being mindful with your body and how it wants to move.
Okay, see you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Bye.